For the upcoming release of Avengers Infinity War, I decided myself that I wanted to review all the MCU movies before the release date of Infinity War, which is April 27th of this year. Alright, now we're on to our next three Marvel movies that I'm going to be talking about. Let's go on to the fourth MCU movie, which is Thor. As son of Odin, Thor takes the throne of Asgard from his aging father. However, on the day that he's to be crowned, Thor reacts with brutality when the Frost Giants enter a palace in violation of their treaty. As punishment, Odin banishes Thor to Earth. While Loki plots mischief on Asgard, Thor, now stripped of his powers, faces his greatest threat. To be honest, I think this is a really decent movie. The plot sounds really interesting. After Thor gets banished from Asgard, he needs to prove himself worthy and learn humility. The cinematography looks great, the Asgardian style of the movie looks outstanding. Now, I know there's a lot of mixed feelings and reviews that people have about this movie, and I think I can explain why that is. It looks awesome to see a Marvel movie take place on a different setting besides Earth, but then Thor actually goes to Earth, and this is where the movie goes downhill and takes a different turn. It almost feels like an entirely different movie than what we saw in the first half hour when Thor was on Asgard. Jane's team seems a bit goofy and out of place for the movie. It's funny to see Thor try to fit in on Earth because he doesn't know how to act like a human being. The plot for Thor's banishment would have worked if it wasn't so silly in the movie. Jane and her team are not really favored to many people. Maybe Professor Selvig, but I prefer him in the other movies. The only supporting cast that I really liked were Lady Sif and the Warriors 3. They were fun and funny, and I think they should have been the main supporting cast throughout the film. In addition, the main actors of the movie are the best. Chris Hemsworth looks like he's having a blast in this film. He's obviously meant to be Thor. I like how in the end he learns not to be so self-centered and arrogant. He definitely has a change of heart. Loki is my most favorite MCU villain. In this movie, he's more angry, envious, and very crazy. Tom Hiddleston does a good job showing all those emotions in the film. I notice he's more serious in this movie than in the later films. We don't get to see his funny, egotistical, smartass personality yet, but he does do a mean act in the film. And last, Anthony Hopkins as Odin was a good choice. You really see the fury when he banishes Thor and feel the pressure when Loki confronts him about being a frost giant. In the end, Thor is a solid movie. It has its pros and cons, but it is still watchable. So now we're on to Captain America the First Avenger. It is 1941 during World War II. Steve Rogers wants to do his part and join America's armed forces, but the military rejects him because of his small appearance. Finally, Steve gets his chance when he is accepted into an experimental program that turns him into a super soldier called Captain America. Joining forces with Bucky Barnes and Peggy Carter, Captain America leads the fight against the Hydra organization. For starters, this movie's pretty good, but there are reasons for why this movie works and why it doesn't. Let's talk about the pros for a second here. I can see Steve Rogers' struggle as he tries to prove himself worthy of getting into the military, but everyone else focuses on the physical appearance of a soldier. Rather, Steve knows that he's very loyal, and he puts others first. He's also intelligent. Like that scene where everyone was trying to get that flag from the pole, Steve thinks outside of the box, which makes him stand out. The CGI of Chris Evans' face on the weaker body does look very convincing. It had others fooled that it was realistic. Now, when Steve turns into Captain America, this is where I found things kind of off. In the first half hour of the movie, it's teaching us that we should never underestimate a person's abilities, such as Steve Rogers. But when he turned into Captain America, now everyone accepts him just because he bulks up. I find that kind of ironic and going against the point of the film that was supposed to make. And now Steve's Captain America, he's pretty much invincible and beats up Hydra agents pretty quickly before the Red Skull can drive up to the scene. But isn't that all we wanted? Was to see Captain America kicking ass on the screen? Sure. Even I found those scenes entertaining. I like Steve Rogers and his team, Bucky Barnes, Dum Dum Dugan, and the rest of the team, whose names I do not know. It's awesome seeing these guys go on missions together and taking down Hydra. But the one thing that I hate the most are the effects in this movie. Remember how I said Iron Man used a lot of practical effects in their movie? Well, this movie is the complete opposite. There's a lot of CGI. Some of the scenes look fake, especially the Hydra weapons, which are powered by the Tesseract. I mean, this is a movie about World War II, and you think that they would use more practical effects in the movie rather than CGI. I just find that a bit ironic. Anyways, Hugo Weaving as Red Skull was a good choice.
I like the appearance, even though I heard the makeup was the hardest part about the character. He does the role very well, and I really wish that we could see him more sometime in the future. Maybe we'll see him in Infinity War. Who knows? Bucky Barnes is another good character. I like how he goes from Steve's best friend, standing up for him, to becoming his sidekick. It's funny and it works well, actually. And last, Peggy Carter as Captain America's love interest is probably the best couple on screen. Usually, I don't really care for couples in superhero movies because it's a pretty generic stereotype that all superheroes get the girl. But in this movie, I really see a good chemistry between Peggy Carter and Captain America's, and their relationship affects Steve Rogers in the future of the movies. In the end, Captain America is entertaining, but it could use some improvement, which we see in the future Captain America movies.
Holy crap, now I get to finally talk about the Avengers. When Thor's evil brother Loki gains access to the limited power of the energy cube called the Tesseract, Nick Fury, director of S.H.I.E.L.D., initiates a superhero recruitment effort to defeat the threat to Earth. Joining Fury's dream team are Iron Man, Captain America, the Hulk, Thor, Black Widow, and Hawkeye. Okay, man, I gotta say, this movie is freaking amazing. I remember when it first came out during high school that everybody wanted to go see this movie, and I knew it was going to be a hit because of how many people were talking about it. It was the first MCU movie to reach $1 billion. The storyline and the plot are very good. I love how the characters interact with each other. What I like about this movie is that the characters at first don't like each other at all. They don't want to be involved in the situation they're in. They don't want to find the Tesseract. Hell, they don't even want to team up with each other. I find it really funny because everyone in the audience is just dreaming about these characters coming together, and the fact that they don't even want to be teaming up together is done really well. The only person that wants to be involved is Loki because he has an evil plan for the Avengers. I give Joss Whedon props. I don't think anyone could have handled this many characters or superheroes in the movie, but he did it and the actors gave it their best. I'm going to describe each character in order of their appearance. Nick Fury is like the mentor of the movie. I enjoy him a lot because he's pretty much the glue that holds the Avengers together. Phil Coulson is a good supporting cast. He's funny and he's less serious than he was in the other movies. Hawkeye has really cool action scenes and his character's done well. Loki plays a badass villain. He has a smirking face with the bad boy attitude. He's definitely one of my most favorite villains. Black Widow gives off a nice performance with her fighting style and personality. Mark Ruffalo is sarcastic and a bit of a smartass at first. Captain America is trying to get used to the present day. Tony Stark, as usual, has his ego and is hilarious. And Thor gives a well performance as the Asgardian who is a bit out of place on Earth. The action sequences, the pacing in this movie is very solid, and the dialogue is the most memorable and well written. I don't mind a movie with a lot of dialogue as long as it's fun and interesting to listen to. The thing about this movie is that it's more fun to watch with multiple people. There are a lot of funny scenes in the movie, but when you watch the movie again, the jokes get old and you don't laugh at them as well as you did the first time you saw them. Other than that, the movie really did change the film industry and inspired a lot of people to do what Marvel is doing. But in my opinion, I don't think anyone can pull off what Marvel has done with the Avengers. I was pretty sure 6 years ago everyone saw this movie, but some still haven't watched it. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. This isn't just a movie for nerds like me, and it's not just a movie for boys. I'm talking to you girls from Kids React. It's a movie for everyone of all ages, and till this day, it is still a masterpiece.